In the terms, we've already studied about the public sector, the private sector, the primary sector and the secondary sector. But here we need to go into details of these sectors. So here, first of all, we must understand what is a public and the private sector in detail. The first differentiation is of course about the ownership, that is who owns them. A public sector is owned by the government of the country, whereas a private sector is owned by either an individual or group of people. So, the first and the basic difference between the public and the private sector is the ownership. Second is, naturally when it is the government which is running the public sector, it wants to promote public welfare. That is, it wants to see that whatever it is producing is meant for the general welfare of the people, and the people who are employed in this sector are happy and their needs are looked after. Okay? Whereas a private sector is just meant for maximizing profit. That is, their sole aim is to earn more and more money. They need not necessarily produce things which are meant for the welfare of the people. If I can actually speak of, then it could be cigarettes. Okay? They are doing what? They are producing cigarettes which are not good for the people, but because their aim is to earn profit, that is why they are indulging into such activities. Well, the next is the best example that we can quote of the public sector is, as I said, for the welfare of the people. So, it is the railways, post and telegraph and all such things which make the life of the people comfortable. Whereas, the example of a private sector is all those big and heavy industries like the TISCO or the telco. So, remember, the public and the private sector not only differ from each other in the terms of ownership, but also in their aims that they have and the product that they manufacture. Now, let us talk about the primary and the secondary sector. In the primary sector, actually the extraction and production of agricultural and its related activities are being done. That means, it is primarily an agricultural sector, a sector which produces things out of the agricultural and other related activities. Well, the secondary sector is that sector which processes whatever comes out of the natural resources, that is out of the primary sector. It gives it the final shape that is required in order to be consumed is actually done by the secondary sector. So, this is about production, this is about processing. Well, the next is that the primary sector does not depend upon the secondary sector for its requirements. It is not dependent on the secondary sector for anything, whereas the secondary sector is totally dependent on the primary sector. Well, the next difference is that, as I said earlier, it is basically an agricultural sector and it is an industrial sector. And last but not the least is, if we can give example, that is agriculture, fishing and mining fall in the category of the primary sector, whereas manufacturing and construction is actually the segment of the secondary sector. We talk about unemployment in detail in the next clipping.